So big percentage, and especially in the West Midlands, but UK and around the world, don't have access to devices or connectivity, basic connectivity. So we talk about digital skills. Well, how are they meant to acquire those digital skills if they can't even get online?
Hello, I'm Don Weatherall, your host of the F5 podcast, brought to you by InCity. Today, I've got the privilege of being joined by Yiannis Maos. Yiannis is the founder and CEO of Tech West Mids, a not-for-profit community initiative designed to inspire the next generation. Yiannis, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Yiannis, listeners would love to hear about your journey.
Where do we start? Should we start at school? It's kind of where it all began, I guess.
Yeah.
So I struggled, I guess, at school academically. Couldn't really get to grips with kind of education and especially kind of traditional subjects. And along the way, got bullied. Found out subsequently I had ADHD, which is probably one of the big reasons that I struggled. But I guess kind of what became a bit of a safe haven at school was what was the computer department, which was built while I was at secondary school. And so, kind of started off by just messing around on BBC computers as they were back then, and realised actually that my kind of brain was wired differently. So kind of, left school and didn't really know what to do, if truth be told, and kind of liked the idea of travelling the world. So I decided to study leisure and tourism because I thought, hey, that's a great way, become, something to do with tourism and get to kind of see all these amazing countries, and realised it was so far from that. It was pretty dry. But actually one of the kind of modules I excelled in was computing again. So ended up doing ICT, information communication technology, and doing pretty well. But I think with ADHD, same distractions. There were certain things at that age that you prefer. They're welcome distractions than education. And so kind of, left with a kind of mediocre qualification and decided at that point, qualification really wasn't for me. And I guess kind of what's interesting is, from a technology point of view, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I think, people of my age, so I'm 40, we're a lucky generation. So we experience a world without technology, right? Lovely time, some may say. No distractions.
I'm quite glad I wasn't at school with it was certainly at a young age with a mobile phone. For sure.
And that's it. Primary school, there was nothing. I kind of followed my mum and dad into a bit of a career in hospitality at that point, actually. So left kind of technology and kind of education behind for a period, and trained chef. It taught me a lot actually about kind of people, because I was also front of house, and how you kind of build relationships, and I certainly have taken that on in my career. And so I kind of left hospitality behind, and actually went to the job centre, which is kind of a really humbling experience. But the rationale behind it was, I want to go out with my mates on Saturday, and I need some money. So
live for the weekend.
And so kind of necessity, right? And so I spent a week building ladders in this factory, soul destroying. During one of the lunch breaks, I was reading the local newspaper, and there was an advert for a data entry admin assistant at an office literally across the road. And so I kind of did this job, kind of almost could do it with my eyes shut. It was, again, very laborious. But I started kind of shadowing kind of what was the head of marketing. And then he left. And so that's kind of where really my career starts. Ended up going to Coventry University through clearing. I got matched with a company in Coventry called, at the time, Rapid Communication Limited. Now, they'd seen on my CV that I had done some coding, which I had. I'd done some Visual Basic.
Yeah, as well as chef, ladders.
Visual Basic, leisure and tourism.
Yeah.
And I spent 2 weeks doing that, and I was absolutely shit. I knocked on the kind of CEO founder's door, and I said, look, I'm really sorry. If I pulled the wool over your eyes and like kind of, I apologise, but this isn't for me. It's like, right, we're launching a new brand called Rant and Rave, a new product. We need a website for it. We need this, we need that. Do you want to take ownership of it? Absolutely. Ended up winning a regional award. So I became the West Midlands Young Entrepreneur of the Year through this Shell Step scheme. And upon graduating, they offered me a job. 10 years later, I was still there. And we went from, I think I was employee number 7 to 120 people, £22 million in recurring revenue. And then the business got sold in 2017. And so massive startup scale-up journey.
Great journey. I think the first time we ever met was at AdvoFest.
Right. You see, I did not even know that.
Yeah.
AdvoFest. There's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
So AdvoFest actually was the meeting of two worlds, right? So at the time I was the co-founder of Hive. We'd launched Hive at AdvoFest. And at the same time I'd launched Birmingham Tech Week, which AdvoFest was a main event at Birmingham Tech Week. I had to make the choice, and I chose Birmingham Tech Week. I'm really, really glad I did, because that journey in itself has been phenomenal, and lines with my purpose and also impactful.
How do you think technology, the landscape of technology, has changed during that career?
It's been an incredible pace. What you can do now with technology is both exciting and terrifying.
Opportunity and risk, for sure.
Yeah, and I think we've just got to be careful. I think we've already opened Pandora's box. My worry is the consequences of that, and if we're not taking a responsible view on technology, it could be catastrophic. However, if used in the right way, it can create a lot more freedom, social impact, and bring people along the journey with it.
Just on that then, how do you think technology can feed into social values and empower societies?
I think we need to work really hard with those communities, and I think the problem starts with digital poverty. So big percentage, and especially in the West Midlands, but UK and around the world, don't have access to devices or connectivity, basic connectivity. So we talk about digital skills. Well, how are they meant to acquire those digital skills if they can't even get online? So that's problem number one. Problem number two is absolutely then kind of, training those people to empower them and give them the opportunity to work in tech. And the third one is creating those pathways into technology. And some of those pathways, by the way, or barriers, are transport and money, right? If you can't get into the city centre where most of the tech jobs are, how can you be expected to work in tech? So there's a societal problem that we need to fix fundamentally before we can enable those people to come on the journey with us. And that's something that I stay awake at night thinking about, and how we solve that. And there is no easy answers. I'll give you an example. Google Digital Garage, which is designed to do exactly this, right? It's to help people get...
I remember doing that qualification.
Yeah, I think we all have, right? It's kind of like tick. And they put their Google Digital Garage in on New Street. Why not in kind of Sparkbrook, right? That's where your audience is.
Yep.
Not, frankly, the people going up and down New Street. And so that's the level we need them to kind of sit up and listen about, kind of like work harder.
I know Intercity, supported a digital poverty initiative during COVID. We worked with local businesses, and one of our customers, Millennium Point, in supporting school children get connected during COVID. They couldn't go into school. They had no laptop. They had no connectivity. And I understand firsthand, although, we all want to do more, but just being involved in that as an initiative was so powerful in making us aware of those issues. So, yeah, I totally understand that.
And we were involved in that, actually. So that since COVID, it's almost like the problem doesn't exist anymore. It's actually got worse because technology has accelerated. The need to be online has become greater, yet those initiatives have somewhat gone away, and the ones that still exist aren't being empowered, supported by government, by business in the right way, and it's very fragmented. So I think there's an opportunity, to do something like that at scale, connecting all the dots and enabling that to become the norm. And I think I heard the other day, it was somewhere in Ireland where they were using Chromebooks, and the local authority actually bought Chromebooks for every family.
And that's at the level it needs to be at, right, to be able to scale it.
That's a policy change that you need to make. But we need to make it the norm. For me, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it needs to be kind of, right there now at the top. So, it's a human right for me now to be online.
So we spoke about your career and your journey up to the point now that you're the CEO and founder of Tech West Midlands. What journey have Tech West Midlands been on since it was founded in 2019?
Yeah, 2019, crazy idea. Through rant and rave, I was extremely lucky to have kind of travelled the world. So even though we were based in Coventry, really a lot of our work was in London. That's where a lot of our clients were. And then I'd also, in between rant and rave and, Birmingham Tech Week, had spent some time in San Francisco and other kind of major tech hubs around the world. Really exciting, vibrant places, great opportunities to start a business, lots of opportunities for people to get into tech, lots of inspiration. So I came to Birmingham and I was like, what's going on? This is a second city. And yet I can't really see a tech ecosystem. So what's going on? And my initial view was there isn't one. And I was somewhat wrong, but not completely wrong. So there was things that were going on.
Because you couldn't see it. Initially, you couldn't point to it.
And perception is...
Yeah, for sure.
9/10 of the truth, and it's exactly that. So, and I was like, I feel that I'm, now well educated. I've been through this kind of startup scale up journey. I, have seen ecosystems. This shouldn't be this hard. It should not be this hard. And so when I kind of kept peeling,
if it's not front and center, it's not accessible.
And that's it, right? If it's not accessible, it doesn't exist, frankly. There was pockets of it. There was meetups, there were events, but it was all what I would describe as somewhat mediocre. And
siloed.
And siloed.
Yeah.
Even when you'd find organisations that should be working together for the greater good of that business or that person, they were actively working against each other and making it hard for that person or business to understand and navigate the ecosystem. So that was kind of problem one. Problem two was I was like, there was no inspiration. There's nothing I can look at in Birmingham and go kind of that's my North Star. That's where I want to exceed or kind of match that business or individuals. And so I kind of wanted to do something about it. It was something I couldn't shake. And so created a website, birminghamtechweek.com. Created some kind of initial marketing. And then all I really did was on the Monday, put a post out on LinkedIn saying kind of, I'm going to launch Birmingham Tech Week in October. Now, at that point, the idea was 200 to 300 people. And I was actually also thinking, well, actually, Hive, I can connect into Birmingham Tech Week and maybe we can kind of, create a platform to help us get our message out there. And then it snowballed. And then I started using the Hive methodology around brand advocacy and ambassadors and community to start to activate Birmingham Tech Week. And so we fast forward from July 2019 to October 2019. And the first Tech Week, 5,000 people came. And a lot of them were fringe events.
Did that exceed your expectation?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
And I think it exceeded a lot of other people's expectations as well. I mean, I got told at the start of this journey, obviously this has been done before. People have tried this, it's not going to work. Like kind of you're wasting your time. And for me, that is the biggest kind of sign that it's going to work. Because I'm like, okay, when did it happen? How did it happen? In what context? With what data? With what insight? Timing. So I was like, I think I know how to do this. So yeah, when we got there, and just but what it did for the city actually, the three reasons I created it was to inspire the next generation, to celebrate success, and to encourage collaboration. And so that clearly happened during that week. So forget the numbers there, the vanity metrics, right? It was the impact that I could see happening. Now, I also made the point during Birmingham Tech Week, if this was just a week of activity, well, forget it. Because this isn't going to solve the problem, right? We're going to go back to our old ways.
Yeah.
Maybe Birmingham Tech Week will happen, but actually, it's just another event.
Yeah.
And that was almost a call to arms. That was a call to arms for, a lot bigger organizations within the ecosystem to step forward and take ownership of, what I could see as an emerging area, the way the world was going to go. And that never happened. And so I became frustrated again and decided in the January of 2020 to create Birmingham Tech as the organisation that would oversee Birmingham Tech Week and a number of initiatives designed to grow the digital ecosystem. And then COVID happened.
Yep.
Launched an event, great. Now everything shuts down. And I doubled down on this. So from a personal point of view, I was like, right, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Put
it all at risk.
Put it all at risk because I believe in this. Ended up carrying it on, getting it ticking over, working for a company at the same time in San Francisco, but virtually, a company called Copper.com. And so my typical day would be getting up in the morning, kind of working on Birmingham Tech and Birmingham Tech Week. No one knew what October would look like. So it's kind of like Zoom started to become a thing. So I guess we can get, people online. But yeah, kind of just trying to create some kind of plan around Birmingham Tech Week and Birmingham Tech.
And then starting your day at about 3:00. I've worked for an American company before. Yeah,
exactly that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, kind of back online, kind of meetings, Slack, everything, and then working till typically 1, 2 in the morning, and then getting enough sleep to then start again, and doing that for the best part of 6 months, and then my wife became pregnant. And so I'm like, oh, wow, okay. This now really needs to work. So this isn't like kind of, a kind of dream anymore. This either works or it doesn't. And it was really interesting. So we got to Birmingham Tech Week in 2020, did it all online. Really interesting because we managed to get access to a lot of speakers that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get access to, and of the quality especially, because just zoom in to a webinar and
lower commitment.
Absolutely. And people wanted to give back. There was that sense of wanting to give back. So actually the quality certainly went up that year.
Okay.
Numbers went down because I think everyone was just fatigued, weren't they?
Where everyone got webinar fatigue for sure.
Yeah, we always knew that was going to be the case, but actually, because the quality was retained, for me, it was a big win. And I had a big decision at the end because Copper offered me a full-time position. They essentially wanted me to lead on UK operations. And I turned it down. You believed in it. I think sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to kind of double down on yourself and say, if you don't believe in yourself, who is going to believe in you? So I turned that down and went for it and started to then really do initiatives that were going to impact the ecosystem. So business support, ran an accelerator, did a lot of work around digital skills. 2021 did a hybrid event. And then in 2022, we won the mandate and contract from the West Midlands Combined Authority to lead on the digital economy. And so at that point, we were called Birmingham Tech, but we are now representing the entire West Midlands. Let's rebrand to Tech West Mids. And that's where we are today, really. And Tech Week last year was, a huge success, and it was great to have InCity involved in it. And I know now you've joined us as a patron. We can do so much more together.
Very much looking forward to that partnership.
It's going to be exciting. Yeah, really, really excited. And so, yeah, we're kind of, for me, to see the ecosystem mature, we were what I describe as mid-lower table when we started out on this. Fastest growing tech sector, largest number of emerging tech companies outside of London, most investment going into startups and scale-ups in the UK.
Why do you think that is? Why is the West Mids the fastest growing tech sector?
We're believing in ourselves more. So there's a cultural shift. So there is a belief now that we're second to none. We're not a second city anymore. You know, we're the centre of the UK. We could be a central hub for the world. Commonwealth Games has certainly helped with that belief.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Two, if you then get down to some of the kind of foundational elements, skills, talent, people, right? The human side of tech, we've got it better than anywhere. You know, we're the most super diverse city region in the UK. Maybe Europe, right? That is a superpower because that's what is needed to create innovative, exciting, future-facing technology companies. So nowhere else in the world can offer that. We can.
Mm-hmm.
8 universities, you know, all of that talent coming out. There's not the brain drain anymore. There's a net positive of people moving from London to Birmingham, then Birmingham to London. So we're retaining that talent as well. Investors are starting to see the potential and so investing more in the businesses. So we have set that foundation now. And for me, there's only one way.
We'll build on that.
We build on it, we realise our potential, and we become, our mission is that by 2030, the West Midlands is a global tech superpower.
You mentioned something earlier, and just want to I suppose, dig into it in a bit more detail. The Future Fest, obviously, I know you've been in Texas fairly recently on an R&D mission, mm-hmm. And I've seen some launches on social media. Future Fest, talk to us.
Future Fest is an idea that I've had for a couple of years, inspired by South by Southwest. I've always felt that actually that it's the sum of our parts that's the most exciting for the West Midlands, not technology. Mm-hmm. Technology is just the enabler. Actually, it comes down to, again, people, right? We're, creative, we're innovators, we led on the Industrial Revolution, we've certainly got that capability in our heritage and currently now. When you look at music, film, the arts, Hippodrome, most popular in terms of footfall theatre in the UK. It's phenomenal. Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders, writing the new Star Wars, okay? And we've got the BBC studios coming, Digbeth Lock as well at the same time. And then, music heritage. All of a sudden you can see that you package that up in the right way and you create this festival of vibrancy that captures the imagination of the world. It's the place you come to see what the world's going to look like in 20, 30 years' time. That's the vision for it. Mm-hmm. And so, we went over to Austin to, see firsthand what something like that could look like. It was good. It was good. Was it remarkable? No. So I think we could absolutely, push the boundaries of what's possible. But if you look at the history of that started in the 1980s as a music festival and then started to layer things on top. Well, actually, we've already got kind of the sum of those parts. We've got Birmingham Tech Week. We've got the Design Festival. We've got Flatpack.
We're out the blocks, right? We're not starting from nothing.
100%. Mm-hmm. You then look at some of the cultural assets I've just mentioned as well, and the people. We want to make sure that it's built from the community. Mm-hmm. It's organic, it's authentic. That's how we make this really succeed. That's the kind of stuff we want to do. Mm-hmm. Be exciting future thinkers.
Sky's the limit.
Really is. It really is. So that's what we want to work on over the next kind of 2 to 3 years.
So in summary, Yiannis, what is Tech West Midlands' vision for the region?
So I mentioned it earlier. I believe that by 2030 we can be a true global tech superpower. And if I'd have said that, I think I'd have laughed at myself if I'd said that 5 years ago. But everything I've mentioned, we built a foundation. We're starting to realise our potential. I'm not sure there's anywhere else in the world that can lay claim to the potential that we have with all of the things necessary to become a modern tech superpower. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. But actually, I think now the belief is behind us, and we've got to have that North Star. And for me, that's ours.
What an exciting opportunity. Watch this space.
So one of the things that will enable us to get there and realise that vision is having a strong narrative. And for me, again, you'd appreciate this as a fellow marketeer. The brand and the messaging is so important. And so we've crafted something, and say we in the royal we, the ecosystem, over 100 businesses and people contributing, to arrive at this message of we make tech succeed in the most human of places. That human bit is so important because it isn't about technology, it's about people. And people can design technology in the best way.
So Yiannis, got one final question for you, something we ask all our guests. If there's someone that you'd like to see on the F5 podcast, anyone you'd recommend that's inspired or influenced you or got a really good story to talk to about the human side of tech, who would you recommend?
I'm going to go with Eben Upton. So not everyone will know that name, but Eben is the founder of Raspberry Pi. And so Raspberry Pi, for me, is a great example of exciting, innovative technology, but with a human social purpose. So that device has been used by children and adults all around the world to show them the possibilities of technology. It's accessible. And so, yeah, I think Eben has a phenomenal story. I know he's got links to the region as well. And so I think I for one would love to know, how he kind of arrived at that point.
What a fantastic recommendation. I really hope we can make that one happen. Yiannis, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to hear your early days, your journey, and your career, and all the fantastic stuff you're doing at Tech West Midlands and Birmingham Tech Week. And myself and InCity really pleased and proud to be working with you and supporting these fantastic initiatives, and long may it continue. So thanks again.
And thank you for being a great host, and thanks for InCity for supporting us on our mission.